Inspire FM, the time is now 6 o'clock.
Any health advice given, whether general, diet, physical, or spiritual, is general only and must be verified by your doctor. If you need medical advice, please consult a doctor.
Assalamu alaikum to all our listeners and viewers. I welcome you all to another exciting and educating edition of the Health and Fitness Show. I'm your host Fahad Matin for today's show, and I hope and pray that all of us are fit and healthy by the grace of Almighty Allah. I do pray that we all had a nice and positive week so far, and looking forward for a nice and positive weekend. Now, this program is broadcasting live from the platforms of Inspire FM today on 26th of August 2021, and I hope and pray that you all can view us or hear us, and we are casting as positive vibes to all our lovely people in Luton and surrounding areas of Luton, like Dunstable, Harpenden, and Bedford. And people may be listening us or viewing us from our online platforms as well, which is Inspire FM website or mobile app. If you're listening us or if you're viewing us, you may be seeing us via Inspire FM Facebook page and YouTube channel. So Assalamu alaikum and good evening to all. As we all know, we cover different health related topics, and the topic which we are covering today is something which has been requested many times, but unfortunately the expert of subject matter was not available for us, so hence we have not entertained that topic till recently. So the topic for today is skin conditions and issues. Yes, you have heard me correct. Skin conditions and skin issues. Now, we live here in UK, where we have multiple skin issues and conditions, and unfortunately, every single person who live in UK have gone through some kind of skin related issues. Either those relates to the head, any part of their body, or any specific condition as such as eczema and so forth. And as I said, it was always hard to find an expert of these subject matters, because majority of these skin conditions, when we talked about, sometimes goes to the private clinic, and when it goes to privatization, it's hard. So luckily we are in luck, because I have a very good friend of mine, and he's a very good GP who is the expert in this subject matter, and he is none other than a lovely GP, Dr. Baz, or Dr. Bahee, or we normally call him Baz, and he's the lead GP from Woodland Avenue practice. So let me welcome him to the show. Good afternoon, Baz, and welcome to Health and Fitness Show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming to the show and agreeing to the show. I know you were there last week as well, encouraging people to run. So firstly, how's your training going on?
It's coming on reasonably well. Bit sore. Been on my training runs, but I'm getting there slowly. So no, it's not long to go now. Just another 5 weeks, I think, before the marathon itself. So if you haven't sponsored us yet, please go onto that link. We're still a long way off our target. And just as I could just push the marathon side just a little bit, actually next September is the Children with Cancer Awareness Month. So there will be a lot of sort of publicity about trying to raise the profile of children with cancer. And the 4 GPs that are running, just to remind you, that's Dr. Monjur Ahmed, Dr. Abu Bakr, and Dr. Sophia. We're all going to be pushing ourselves to finish the marathon. But let's remember the reason why we're doing it, and that's to raise money for the really important cancer charity for children. So if you haven't sponsored us, please sponsor one of us or the whole team. It doesn't matter who you sponsor, as long as we hit our target. That's the main thing.
Exactly.
As I said last time, I will finish whether I'm crawling or have to be pushed along. I'll finish it.
Definitely. Our well wishes and our pockets are with you. Hopefully, we will contribute. I will definitely contribute. I'm not, and as it says, the charity starts from our own home. So I will definitely contribute to this cause. And while we are on the topic of cancer, I have a very special message from NHS England as well. That if you have tummy trouble, such as discomfort or diarrhea, or for more than 3 weeks or 3 weeks or more, or see blood in your urine, even just once, it could be a sign of it could be an early sign of cancer. So it probably not been very serious, but it's better to find out sooner rather than later. So the best thing to do is to the NHS want you to see to get in touch with your GP practice, or go to our website for more information, which is nhs.uk/cancer symptoms. Correct, Baz?
Absolutely fine. Absolutely correct. Yes. I mean, I think what we found over the lockdown, again, I'm probably diverting a little bit, is that the cancer pickup rates have dropped quite considerably. So it's important, that if you get any sort of symptoms, any of what we call the red flags, you do sort of seek help. Okay.
Yes, indeed, definitely, and it is very, very important for us to go through those in due course of time. And I absolutely understand the importance of, because I have lost my mother because of cancer as well. So it is a very dearest topic for me as well whenever it comes to that line. But anyhow, coming back to our topic, the topic for today, as I said earlier, is skin conditions and issues. And unfortunately, in UK, we have more skin conditions than anywhere else in the world in many different ways, shape, or forms. And there are different types of skin condition and issues. And as I said, some automatically goes to the privatization side, but others come towards the GP line. So being a GP, the first port of contact, I'm sure, Baz, you have seen your fair share of skin problems, acne, and so forth.
Yeah. Let me just give you a little bit of background about my sort of dermatology experience. I mean, first and foremost, I'm a GP, but about 15 years ago, I sort of got a real interest in dermatology. So I have studied a bit more, and I've got my diploma in chronic skin conditions, but also skin surgery. So I do tend to see a lot more dermatological conditions, and it's my interest. So over the years, I've learnt more and more and experienced more and more. So that's my background in terms of dermatology. So where do you start when it comes to sort of skin conditions? I think people are well aware of their organs of their body, the heart, the lungs, the eyes, everything else, the kidneys. But what people forget is actually the skin is, the largest organ they have. Okay. It's the largest and also the heaviest because it's sort of spread out all over your body. People tend to forget that. Okay. And it can reflect how you feel and how you are sort of, how you feel in yourself. It's a really good reflection. So if your skin's bad, then obviously it could reflect that you yourself haven't been too good. So there's there are those sort of simple facts that you need to bear in mind. And yet people tend to ignore their skin. They tend not to look after their skin. And I'll talk more about how you can look after your skin. But on average, I would say, in GP land, 20 to 25% of our consultations are to do with the skin, some sort of skin problems. So, it is a significant workload. And most GPs are very experienced in dealing with skin problems. So, you don't necessarily have to go and see a GP with a special interest in skin. Most GPs can deal with a lot of the skin problems. And I think education has improved, amongst patients and GPs generally. So that's a bit of background about myself and about what GPs can do for you. So the answer is a significant amount. Yeah.
Indeed, and because of the GPs, as I said, GPs are the first port of call for these kind of conditions. So if you have any issues regarding your skin, and if something does not feel right, that means it's not right. So it's better to get it checked or tested or spoke to.
Looked at,
Yeah, exactly, because it's exactly there's no harm in getting it checked once.
I mean, some of the sort of the common things. I mean, bearing in mind our large part of our audience are probably from the Asian subcontinent, and have sort of a darker in color. Us Indians, Asians. I think it's important. I can talk a little bit about some things that affect Asians particularly. You mentioned the first port of call being GPs, but actually let's not forget our pharmacy colleagues, our community pharmacists. They also have some training in dermatology and can give some very, very good, clear advice about how to manage simple skin conditions. So, if you ask me what are the common things I see, I think by far and large is dry skin. Okay, and obviously the severe end of dry skin, we call it eczema or dermatitis. Okay, so eczema literally means, it's an old Latin word, and it means boiling skin. It means when your skin is inflamed, it goes a bit red and a bit sore, a bit itchy, and that is extremely common. Very, very common in young babies, and if you've got a history of asthma, hay fever, that type of thing, it's far more predominant in families that have those type of symptoms. Now, the biggest reason dry skin and eczema occurs is actually 21st century lifestyle. Okay, because we all get up in the morning, we all have a shower, use lots and lots of soap and shower gels. What you've got to bear in mind actually is that when we are using shower gels and soaps, what we're actually doing is destroying the oily layer on our skin. And that oily layer is actually very, very important to actually protect our skin, because it provides this barrier to keep the skin, keep the germs away from getting into the body. Any allergens that can get into through this oily barrier that can then start to inflame the skin. So unfortunately, fortunately, you could look at it both ways. We use a lot of soap, a lot of detergents to sort of wash ourselves with, but that is also the thing that destroys the oily layer. And having that oily layer is the key thing to avoid, so that causes dry skin and eczema. So we see a lot of that. So even if you notice very, very dry skin in your babies and toddlers and kids, and even you as adults, if you notice dry skin, the first thing you should think about is actually, what soap am I using? I always say to patients who come with eczema, if you're using the shower gels, consider them as really, really toxic, as poison. Yeah. So don't use too much. If you're going to use it, use a minimal amount. Okay. Because the more you use, the drier your skin will get. Okay. And you'll be amazed by the number of patients that simply get better just by avoiding, quite strong detergents. I call them detergents because that's what they are. Okay. Patients come in and say, well, this cream hasn't worked, that cream hasn't worked for my dry skin. And you say, well, what are you washing with? They say soap. Yeah. And of course, it's the soap that causes it. So until you get rid of the thing that's causing it, it ain't going to get better. And no matter how many moisturizing creams you use, because all you're doing when you shower is just get rid of the oily layer. That's what it's there for. Now, things have changed slightly in COVID because the advice, obviously, we're all saying you must wash your hands with soap. Okay, which is the right thing to do because it kills the COVID-19 virus. But what we found is that there were loads of people coming in with dry skin off the hand and eczema and dermatitis, because they were destroying the oily layer. So the advice we're saying to patients with eczema and dry skin is, by all means use detergents, but straight after, put your moisturizing cream on. Okay. So the dry skin and eczema is the biggest sort of cause of the workload. I dare say actually about half the cases, 3/4 of the cases can be prevented by simply visiting the pharmacy and say, look, I've got dry skin. Can you give me an alternative shower gel, something that's not too harsh, and actually a moisturizing cream? Now, the next question people ask is, which moisturizing cream? All right. Now, there isn't a simple answer. The simple answer is actually it's whichever moisturizing cream suits you. Okay. It doesn't have to be something from the doctors. You don't have to go to the doctors and get anything prescribed. You can pop along to any pharmacy and say, which moisturizing have you got? Now, moisturizing creams, they come from being what we call a lotion, which is sort of more water-based, or they can be a bit creamier. So when you put them on your skin, they sort of absorb into the skin, but still leave your skin a little bit moist. And then you get right to the other extreme, and these are the ointments. These are the ones that are really, really greasy. Okay. Now, from the skin point of view, actually, the greasier the cream or the ointment, the better. Okay, because what you want to do is have this oily layer on your skin. All right. So, what you need to do is find a cream that when you put it on, it actually stays there, and you can actually see the greasy sort of the greasiness on your skin for several hours. What you don't want to do is find a cream that when you put it on, 5 minutes later your skin's dry again, because that means it ain't working. You need something a little bit greasier.
All right. Okay.
Now, in our culture, people love Vaseline. Yeah. And actually, Vaseline is probably one of the best moisturizing creams there is. Yeah, because it's greasy and it stays there a long, long time. So,
but it's muckier as well. It just literally muck yourself up big time.
Absolutely. So if you're talking about, if you ever end up going to hospital for your eczema, the first thing they'll do is recommend stuff called white soft paraffin, which is essentially the medicine version of Vaseline. So if you've got Vaseline, put it on. Yeah.
Wow.
And then try and leave it on for as long as you can. I mean, the downside is obviously, as you said, is it looks really greasy and mucky and horrible, which is why patients don't like it. Okay. But believe you me, sometimes we see kids whose eczema is so severe that they are more than happy to put up with the Vaseline. Yeah. So if there's one thing you take away from today, all the listeners, is that if you've got dry skin, cut down on the soap and the shower gels, and find a moisturizer that suits you. And basically, the greasier, the better. Yeah.
So, and my sorry, before I jump into a question, I better involve our listeners as well. So, listeners, if you have any questions or queries regarding our show tonight, please get in touch by sending your text messages or WhatsApp on 0777948822, or you can send me your questions by our Facebook or YouTube channel chats as well. If you have any questions or queries regarding the topic today, which is skin conditions and issues, please get in touch with us. Or if you have any experience regarding that. So, coming back to my question. So, Doc, if we do not use or if we use less soaps and body shower
gels,
gels and so forth,
yeah.
what do we do then to wash ourselves?
You can still use that. If you haven't got if your eczema isn't too severe or it's dry skin isn't too severe, by all means carry on using it, but use the moisturizing cream afterwards. Yeah. If your eczema is bad, then actually a lot of the moisturizing creams we use as the soap. Okay, so a lot of the creams we commonly use, B45, Cetraban, all those sort of things that we commonly prescribe, you can still use that as what we call a soap substitute. So instead of washing yourself with any soap or shower gel, you simply get a little bit of the emollient, put it on your hand, rub it, and actually just wash yourself off with that. Okay. Now, people get concerned because I think they feel the skin isn't being cleaned, okay? But again, all the medical evidence suggests actually once you do start putting any sort of emollient on you, it does actually clean the skin as well. So you don't need to worry about, it not cleaning because it will, okay? If you are really, really concerned, by all means, use a tiny, tiny amount of shower gel, but straight away afterwards, put your moisturizing creams on.
All right. Okay. So yeah, that's a good advice. Put a moisturizing cream. Although I do not
Absolutely.
do that. I do not do that. I have.
Well, your skin looks absolutely lovely.
Thank
Now,
you so much, guys. Trust me.
in terms of sort of moisturizers, I think the other popular misconception, or the things that people do wrong, is that they don't use moisturizers enough. Okay. Again, when I see patients at the surgery, they say, "Look, this cream isn't working. This moisturizing cream isn't working." And you think, well, "How often are you using it?" And they say, "Well, just once a day." But as I mentioned before, if it's a lotion or a cream, literally that gets absorbed in a couple of hours, and actually the rest of the day the skin is very dry. So you need to keep putting it on and on and on. It doesn't matter how many times you use a moisturizing cream; it really doesn't. Okay, because it's just an emollient. That's all it is. Okay, but actually it's probably the most important treatment there is for dry skin and eczema.
Hmm.
And again, people don't use enough. Those kids you see with eczema, you prescribe them the great big pot. Those big pots, and they don't come back for a prescription, for another 2-3 months.
Hmm.
And they say, "Oh, it still hasn't really worked." And I think, well, actually, a pot like that for a child, it should be gone in a week. Yeah, should be gone. All right. So you need to be using good amounts of moisturizer, very good amounts. Okay.
Wow.
So I think commonly what patients expect is they want a very quick fix. They have the eczema, the dry scaly rash, and they think, actually, go on, doc, give us a cream, a steroid cream, I'll get rid of it just like that. And actually, you can. There are steroid creams out there which work pretty effectively. But the problem is, yes, it will settle it down, but actually, after a few days, it'll come back. Okay, because you're not keeping the skin moist enough. Okay, so by all means, yes, you can use steroids, but you've got to do the underlying work of keeping away from the soap and using plenty of moisturizer.
Hmm. Hmm.
Now, you have another group of patients who then get quite concerned about steroids and say, actually, we've heard terrible things about steroids, and they try and avoid it. Particularly young moms with babies, and as soon as you mention the word steroid, they go, "Oh no, we can't do that." Or panic, panic, panic. Okay, but if they follow all the steps that I've mentioned before about avoiding the soap moisturizers, actually steroids are very, very good. Okay. Now, the ones we commonly prescribed, or the commonest one we prescribe, is something called hydrocortisone, which I can probably guarantee almost half the population have had at some stage in their life. Okay.
Hmm.
Now, hydrocortisone cream, 1%, is very, very safe. Okay. And when I say very safe, I mean you can use it for many, many weeks without a problem. Okay. Now, even some doctors sort of get concerned and think, "Oh, crikey, I better not give hydrocortisone for more than a week because it's a steroid." But you can use it for many, many weeks without a problem, even on babies.
Hmm.
Okay. So, please be reassured that actually the doctor wouldn't give you a steroid cream if it's going to cause any long-term side effects. So,
Indeed.
hydrocortisone is the one that we commonly use and is usually effective. Occasionally, when the eczema is very bad, we move on to something stronger. But even then, the next one up is the next strongest one is something called Humavate, which again a lot of people have probably used at some stage in their life. But even then, you can use that below the neck for several weeks without a major problem. So you don't need to be terrified of steroids and avoid them, because actually, if the skin is inflamed and bad, it's actually a good thing to settle everything down. Okay, because it's nothing worse than actually leaving the skin inflamed, and then it's open to infections and flare-ups and all sorts of things. If you've tried all those sort of things, these sort of things you can get over the counter and via the pharmacy. But if you tried those things, if then you get in trouble, that's when you could come see a GP, and that's where the GPs can intervene and help.
Wow. Wow. So quite few things people can do by themselves regarding their skincare. And the very first step is to
Absolutely.
keep your skin moisturized and make sure that don't overuse the detergent, as you said, or shower gels
Absolutely.
and
Interesting. The other thing I get asked a lot, particularly from the Asian community, is actually what about some of these remedies that my parents have been using?
The cream, the malai, and
malai. Yeah. Now, I actually did my research project was into alternative medicines, particularly in South Asians, and I actually surprised myself. And a lot of these creams that we use as moisturizers, like neem oil, turmeric paste, they've actually got some really good evidence to suggest that actually they do help. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, things like neem oil, and there are other almond oil for heads, coconut oil for the scalp. They've all got very good evidence to suggest they actually work. Okay. Particularly coconut oil for the scalp, dry, itchy scalp. It's great. And a lot of the medicines we prescribe have actually got based on coconut oil. Neem oil, very, very similar compounds are found in a lot of moisturizing creams. So
Bas, I have to
a
hold
lot
you.
of this stuff works.
I have to stop you over there because we are going for a very short commercial break in about 10 seconds time. So when we come
Sure.
back, I need to catch up this thing from that point onwards. So stay tuned. We will be back after these very short messages.
This program will continue after the break. Continue listening to Inspire FM. Inspire FM.
Inspire 105.1 FM.
You're listening to Inspire FM 105.1. If you missed the show, go to inspirefm.org. Inspire FM, the best local radio station around, for the community, by the community.
अगर आप अकाउंट्स या टैक्स की वजह से परेशान हैं तो घबराने की कोई बात नहीं। आज ही मुकम्मल राजदारी से हमारे साथ अपने तमाम मसाइल, बुक कीपिंग, पेरोल, वीएटी, वर्किंग टैक्स क्रेडिट, चाइल्ड क्रेडिट, टैक्सी अकाउंट्स, लिमिटेड कंपनी बनाना वगैरह के लिए राब्ता कायम कीजिए। हमारे मशवरे और खिदमात से आपको खुशी और तसल्ली महसूस होगी। याद रखें, अब्दुल कयूम ऑफ ए कयूम अकाउंटेंट्स लिमिटेड, 4A वॉल्डेक रोड, लूटन। Telephone 01582 755252. Mobile 07961 188616. Email aq.accountants@hotmail.co.uk.
With over 20 years' experience, your first choice for accident claims must be claims specialists. Don't be fooled by other companies or solicitors who offer no deductions. You end up losing out on the compensation you deserve. At Claims Specialists, we ensure you receive the maximum compensation you're entitled to, with hundreds of cars, including taxis, available within 1 hour. Consult us first for a fast, efficient, and professional service. Find out how highly recommended Claims Specialists can get the best result for you. Call Luton 733-222. Click on claimspecialists.co.uk or visit us at 167A Dunstable Road in Luton.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. بسم الله. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: إن الله لا ينظر إلى صوركم وأموالكم ولكن ينظر إلى قلوبكم وأعمالكم. That Allah does not look towards your appearance and your wealth, but rather He looks towards your heart and your actions.
वेस्टबोर्न फार्मेसी हफ्ते के 7 दिन सुबह 9 बजे से लेकर रात 9 बजे तक खुली रहती है। हमारी सर्विसेज में शामिल हैं ट्रैवल वैक्सीनेशंस, स्टॉप स्मोकिंग, डायबिटीज चेक, बच्चों की ग़िज़ा और बहुत कुछ। लुटन और डंस्टेबल में फ्री प्रिस्क्रिप्शन, पिकअप और डिलीवरी सर्विसेज भी की जाती है। इसके अलावा आप मेडिसिन के इस्तेमाल के लिए फ्री मशवरा भी ले सकते हैं। वेस्टबोर्न फार्मेसी 198 B Dunstable Road, Luton, corner of Westbourne Road. Telephone 01582 419 432.
1 in every 10 people live without access to safe, clean water. Let's give them a better choice than drinking either dirty water or no water at all. Together, we can turn this desperate situation around by delivering safe water solutions to the world's poorest people. Call 0161 225 0225 or visit humanappeal.org.uk.
We are young. We are powerful.
We are female. We are Muslims.
We are Sister Speak, destroying the stereotype of stigmatized Muslim women.
Join us live every Tuesday from 6 p.m. where we discuss our opinions on current events and issues we feel are important and relevant.
So tune in on 105.1 FM or Facebook Live and catch our podcast on iTunes or Spotify.
From the studios of Inspire FM, the time is now 6:30.
Any health advice given, whether general, diet, physical, or spiritual, is general only and must be verified by your doctor. If you need medical advice, please consult a doctor.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening to all our listeners and viewers. I welcome you back to the Health and Fitness Show. I'm Fahad Matin, your host for this evening, and we are talking about skin conditions and issues with our guest, Dr. Bahee, also known as Baz, the lead GP of Woodland Avenues Practice. Good evening, Baz.
Hi. Okay.
This program is broadcasting live from the platform of Inspire FM today on 26th of August 2021. The whole year is almost half of the year is already gone, and casting its positive vibes to all our lovely people in Luton and surrounding areas of Luton, like that, Trim and Harpeth and Bedford, and our airways going live also from our digital platforms as well, so people can listen us from Inspire FM mobile app or website, or view us from our Facebook Live page, broadcast, as well as YouTube. Now, before we went on break, Baz was in the flow, and I am absolutely so sorry, Baz, to break your flow about the remedies, because that is something which I'm really intrigued about, because I thought most of them are just all woman gossips. So sorry, Baz, because my mom always liked to put oils on my head, and I never done that, and I literally avoid every single time, especially coconut oil. And my younger brother always love getting the hair oiled up, so he have lush black hairs still to this date, and I am now getting bald from every single patches I can see, and getting whiter as well as the day passes by. So sorry, can I ask you to continue from that point, please?
Okay, I see there are a couple of questions as well that have just come up. So I think there's just one very important point I would like to make about sort of remedies that you can sort of buy in certain areas. I would say, if you go to some of the Asian shops, that there are also some very dangerous creams out there as well, and that's something else to beware of. Quite often they come under skin lightening creams, and there are some that are sold as all cures for eczema. When you buy the creams, they will work, okay, but actually when you analyze them, what's actually in them are very strong steroids. Okay, they're stronger than the stuff that we can prescribe.
Wow.
Now, it's not uncommon that I've seen many a patient who said, "Okay, I've used some of the moisturizing creams that you've recommended. They haven't worked, so I've got something from such and such a shop, and the cream has worked like magic." And you think, well, I'm sure they have. That's because they're very strong steroids. The downside to that is that actually, the longer you use these strong steroids, particularly on the face, is that gradually you will actually get side effects of the steroid creams you use on your face. And I've seen a number of patients over the years that have come to me with really bright red face with sort of blood vessels all over them.
Or red circles on the sides.
Yeah, the big red blotches, and you think, and they say, well, this is the eczema, and you look at it closely and say, what have you been using? And I've been using this cream from India, Pakistan, China. And they've actually got really strong steroids in there, so be very careful. So although some of the moisturizing creams and things are very good that Asians advise, also just beware of some of the stronger creams that are guaranteed to cure eczema, because they are full of really quite strong steroids, and actually they are illegal. So just be warned. Yeah.
Wow.
And they will lighten your skin for sure.
Yeah, the fairness cream and those kind of creams do lighten your dark skin, or the take dark circles off.
That's right. But if you carry on using them for a number of years, they'll actually cause a lot of problems. So just beware of that. I see. There was a question there about.
Just before that, if you have any questions or queries regarding our topic tonight, please get in touch us.
Yeah.
Get in touch with us by sending your text message or WhatsApp on 0779481822, or sending your questions via Facebook or YouTube shows. So this is one of the questions which arrived just before we went on break, and the question says that the doctor mentioned at the start that people with asthma and hay fever are more likely to suffer from dry skin. Why is that, and what is the science behind it?
Yeah, I'm not sure I can answer why is that, but I can tell you what the facts are. The facts are that some people, as many as 20 to 30% actually, are more prone to developing eczema, and it's very, very closely linked with asthma, hay fever, and allergies in general. Now, in the medical world, we call these people atopic. Okay, and they do have a genetic predisposition to developing those sort of triad of symptoms. So, particularly when we see babies with eczema, the first thing we ask is there a family history of asthma, eczema, hay fever? And if they have, the chances of that child having eczema are pretty high. So there is a genetic predisposition to developing eczema in those what we call atopic people. So the exact science, and I think they are looking at whether there's a genetic mutation or not, but they haven't found it yet as far as I'm aware. But it is something to do with the production of the oily layer and how the cells do break down. What we call the skin barrier gets broken down a lot easier, and because of that, more allergens tend to get into the skin, and hence they're more prone to developing allergies. So those patients are called atopic. And I think there was another question about it said, should we be concerned about the chemicals in the creams? I think the short answer is absolutely not. All the moisturizing creams are actually based on very, very natural products, things that actually your own body oils are made from. So even if they get absorbed, the chances of that are pretty small anyway, pretty minimal. But they won't do any harm at all. Moisturizing creams don't do any harm. The only thing you need to be slightly concerned about are the very, very strong steroid creams, which I say, some shops do store, unfortunately. There is some evidence to suggest actually some of the steroid does get absorbed. And if you use very high doses, that can be a problem.
Yes, indeed. So the answer to the second question, which is the question I just repeat again, is should we concern about any chemical in the creams being absorbed into the bloodstream, and the impact of it is, as Doc just said, it is very, very minimum, and definitely sometimes the benefit outcomes outweigh the cause and effect. But then definitely moderation in every single sense is important. And as Doctor said earlier as well, use soap or body gel, but body wash, but don't an excessive amount, and definitely moisturize yourself after using it.
Just an amusing fact actually about a lot of the moisturizing creams, they all contain a compound called urea, and urea is found in urine. Okay, so it's always amusing to me when even in some African countries where they actually use urine to help with eczema, they mix it with some powders and put that on their skin. I think, well, actually, that's a very good thing to do, because urea is good for your skin.
That's a really, really fun fact. That's a really, really fun fact, I must say. That's a really, really fun fact.
I just wondered whether, while I've got this particular audience, there's called a couple of things that a lot of Asian people really come to me about, and there are two things I'd like to mention which are quite disturbing for Asian skin issues in particular. One is these white patches that children get, particularly when they're sort of growing in, when they're sort of 5, 6, 7, right up into the teens, they get sort of white sort of splodges on their skin. The medical term for that is Piteritis Alba. Okay. Now, the thing to say with that is that it's actually extremely common, is the first thing, particularly amongst, it's common amongst all children, not just Asians. The reason it's more noticeable is that one of the when you develop this sort of condition, it stops your skin from tanning. So when you go out in the sun, the rest of your skin will get tanned, but wherever you got this it's actually a very, very mild fungus called Piteritis Alba. Where you've got this fungus, it doesn't tan so much. So every summer, you can guarantee I will see mums bringing their children and say, "Look, what about these patches here?" And you try and reassure them, "Look, it's something that is it will go on its own anyway." Okay. But it's been there for many, many months. Probably it just becomes more noticeable in the summer when the rest of the skin gets tanned and those don't. So the best way to prevent that is actually to use sunblock, and you actually stop the rest of the skin from getting tanned. So it doesn't
blends
become
it.
noticeable. Yeah. So a lot of white skin kids do have it, but because they don't tan so easily, it doesn't. It's not really noticed. Okay. But because of brown skin, black skin, it's more noticeable. I mean, occasionally, if it gets a bit of a problem, a nuisance, we do give some hydrocortisone cream or some antifungal cream. But really, you don't need it. The best thing to do is keep out the sun, put some sunblock on. So that's one condition that a lot of Asians children have and come with. Sorry, you're going to say.
What about pimples? So are these and pimples are pretty much same thing? So they're slightly different?
It's got nothing to do with acne. Now, this is you've probably seen. Probably half the viewers are probably looking at their kids right now and looking, "Oh yeah, he's got them." But that's what it is. The other thing I wanted to mention was, and again, particularly affecting our community is something called melasma. Now, these are the unfortunately that affects women mainly. And they're the sort of the dark patches that get around the eyes or the cheeks. And again, it's extremely common in Asian ladies. A lot of the ladies obviously find them very disturbing because it doesn't look very nice cosmetically, and they always come to the doctor thinking, "Please give me a cure." Yeah.
So what's the cure for my one?
Well, the first thing to say is actually is to put things in perspective. You say, look, it's very, very common, okay? And it doesn't mean you're ill. Yeah, it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. But it is associated with estrogen. So, unfortunately, if you're a woman, you're more likely to suffer. Men can too. But, treatment is very difficult, okay? Because there's no simple cream that doctors can give you to get rid of this. Okay. And the creams that are available, unfortunately, the NHS have said no, they're not available on NHS, but they consider it a cosmetic treatment. Okay. So there's very limited things that we can do as GPs. There are one or two creams we can try. But again, the best thing to do is use sunblock. Keep out the sun, keep your skin moisturized. But if you do want something done, then unfortunately it has to be on a private basis. And there are some creams that can work, and they work fairly well. But you have to use them for many, many months before you notice any impact. And these creams, I'm afraid are pretty expensive as well. So you've just got to bear that in mind, that actually the cost of these things can escalate pretty quickly. If if people are very, very desperate, you can do things like facial peels, chemical peels, and there are lots, even in Luton, there are lots and lots of beauty clinics that offer this, and they work. Okay, so don't think they don't work, but you've got to find a beauty place or a proper clinic that does offer the right chemical peel, because there are lots of different chemical peels. They work at different levels. If you go to one that does only a very, very superficial peel, it won't work. If you go too deep, it'll burn the skin. So you've got to find the right sort of chemical peel that will help the melasma and this discoloration. But then then the cost of that, you're running into £500 to £1,000.
Wow.
But it depends how much it affects you. If you can afford it, then yeah, by all means, go ahead. But it's something the NHS can't help with, unfortunately.
Indeed.
I've had many a lady sitting in my room cursing me, saying, "Why can't we have this on the NHS?" So look, it's out of my hands. Yeah. But I suppose the message is what I'm trying to say, that it is a very common condition. Yes, it's disturbing from the cosmetic point of view, but on the NHS, there's very few things we can do. But unfortunately, privately, there are plenty of things they can do, and they do work. And I haven't got any private business. Before you people are saying you've got a private business trying to promote that, I haven't. Okay.
I know that, Baz. This is a fact. For a fact, definitely do not have any private business, I must say.
Yeah. So and so there are plenty of treatments. For several patients, several people I know in my family have sort of been through it, and it does work, and it works fairly well. So they're the sort of two things I wanted to talk about in terms of the audience we have today.
One of the common things which majority of the people, regardless what age, color, or caste they are, suffer is the skin allergies. So, firstly, what is a skin allergy, and how can we treat them?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, it's related to eczema, asthma, hay fever. It's when there are two reasons why allergies happen. One is if they're getting through your skin and they cause a reaction to the top of your skin. But also the other way is if you eat something, then it triggers off a whole body response, and it comes out in a rash all over your body. So there are just several ways. My advice would be, before you start panicking and call a doctor, if it's a simple skin type of allergy, pop along to your local pharmacy, see if they can give you maybe a simple steroid, hydrocortisone cream, Humavate cream, that sort of stuff. And, half the time that works. And if it's more widespread, an antihistamine tablet is all you need. Okay. And again, that usually works in most cases. The time to come and seek help is if keeps happening, or if the allergy is quite severe and doesn't respond to an antihistamine. That's the time you need to come and see us. Even as GPs, if it's happened once or twice, we tend not to investigate too soon. But if it happens frequently and gets quite severe, that's when we tend to refer on for more and more tests.
So is there so how does the test normally happens for allergies? Is it a series of blood tests or skin grafts or taking a sample or biopsy, or what do we need to do?
Unfortunately, again, it's something that we can't do as GPs. We tend to have to refer on to dermatology or specialist allergy clinics. Again, depending on what type of allergies we're talking about, if it's something that's, if you touch and it flares up, they do something called patch testing, where they actually put some chemicals onto your skin and see what the reaction is. If it's something
which
more
females normally
widespread,
do, which females sometimes do with their makeups and everything.
Absolutely, yes. Or men with their beard colors. I've seen that many a time. Hair colors, beard colors.
I'm keeping
all
my
that
white.
happens.
I'm keeping my white just like you.
And also, if it's more widespread and they get really quite severe allergic reactions all over their skin, that there are some baseline tests we can do as GPs, but actually we probably need more specialist help. And if the allergy is severe enough, then we tend to refer to allergy clinics. But in terms of allergy services on the whole in UK there aren't that many. If you go to any allergy website or self-help group, they will simply say there just aren't enough clinics that look into allergies, and the sad fact is there isn't. Our closest allergy clinic is in Cambridge from Luton.
Wow.
And they only see a handful of patients, so can you imagine how many referrals they'll end up with? And it's just as a GP, it's frustrating for us that we can't refer patients more readily. So we try and manage things as best we can.
Wow. It just unnecessary pile up the work on your shoulders.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
You talked about pimples earlier on. Do you want me to talk a little bit about pimples?
Yep. Yes, please.
Okay. Again, acne is something I think everyone should take far more seriously.
So is it more in boys or girls? Or what is acne, by the way?
Acne, they are basically inflammatory spots that you get, particularly as you grow. It can happen. It does happen more so in boys, but does happen in girls as well. And it, particularly around anywhere that's the skin is greasy, so the forehead, nose, cheeks. And I'm sure everybody's seen people with spots and acne. Yeah. So the first thing we try and do is, first thing to say is actually, look, if you've got spots and if they bother you, there's plenty of treatment out there. So don't think, oh my God, this is too embarrassing, I don't want to go and get it looked at. The first port of call, go to your pharmacy. Yeah, you've only go to the pharmacy and you'll see a whole range of acne treatments that are available. And for mild acne, a lot of those are very, very effective. Yeah. So, ask the chemist, ask them what's available. I did jump into straight in treatments. What I should have talked about is actually, first of all, acne is related to healthy lifestyle too. Yeah. So, it does. We were all taught as doctors several years ago. It doesn't matter what you eat; it doesn't affect acne. But actually, the latest research suggests it does. Okay, so the healthier you eat, and the more exercise you do, the less acne you will get. It does make a difference, and it is stress related too. Okay. Again, when I was growing as a doctor and training, the people we were told, no, it's not related to any of these things, but actually it is. Okay, so healthy lifestyle, plenty of water, good food, it all makes a difference. Okay, so if it's mild, pop along to your chemist. They can give you some advice. But actually, if it's quite severe and you're getting big pimples that are leaving scars, don't hesitate. Come and see your GP. All right, or speak to your GP at least. In this day and age, we do a lot of telephone advice and photographs. There's a lot we can do even just by sort of speaking to you and looking at the photographs. I think, particularly if you're getting scars, get in touch sooner rather than later, because what we don't want is, for teenagers to grow up with sort of little scars all over their cheeks and forehead. It's important. The earlier you tackle it, the better it is, the less scarring there is. Now, I used to suffer a lot from acne when I was little, which has got slightly more special interest than others maybe. So the first thing I say to patients is, there's plenty we can do. Just come and see us or speak to us, and we will go through a lot of different types of treatment. The frustrating thing is that actually, each treatment, once we give it a go, takes, we've got to give it at least 3 months to see if it works or not.
Wow.
Because they all take that long to sort of be effective. But ultimately there are, lots of other treatments, particularly in hospital. There's a particular tablet which is called isotretinoin, which is a very, very powerful agent. So people with really severe acne, lots of scarring, or that is severely badly affected, again, don't wait. Speak to one of the GPs, and if it needs a dermatology referral, for that type of acne that's quite severe, this treatment is very, very effective.
Wow.
So don't think there's, we can't do much. The answer is actually we can do a hell of a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and get in touch with your GP definitely in that sense. And
Yeah.
on that note, I must say, wow, Baz, the time has flown like anything else. And I think so we need another few sessions to complete majority of these skin conditions,
I
which
was just getting started.
Yes, exactly. And see, the time flies. So see, that's one of the reason I need you more often on my show than ever. So yeah, we need you more on these shows, Baz, to discuss about especially the skin condition. On a serious note, there are so many things and there are so many questions. I just noticed that there are quite few questions popped on the WhatsApp as well from different people, which I did not get a chance to highlight.
I can rattle through some of them if you want quickly.
We just have literally 2 minutes, so I prefer you to give a message out, and I will definitely encounter them in on our next show, which we will do hopefully in a couple of months' time. So Baz, as I said, we just have 2 minutes, so give a quick positive message to our lovely people.
Look after your skin. It's the biggest organ you have. Very important organ. Don't use too many detergents. Use lots of moisturizers for people with dry skin. Acne sufferers, go and get some treatment sooner rather than later. Again, melasma, very difficult to treat. But again, if you want treatment, there's very little on the NHS. Unfortunately, a lot of the private sector can deal with that, but can deal with it effectively. I think that's all. They're the major things. Soap, treat as toxic, Lots of moisturizer, and don't be too scared of steroids. Mild steroids, they're fine.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Baz, for
No problem.
coming to our show today and sharing your valuable knowledge with us, because these are those few things which we sometimes do not able to highlight. People do get very sensitive about it, especially if they have a dry skin, some other parts of their body, sensitive parts of their body. They do not want to share it widely. Sometimes they find it very hard to share it with the GP. So thank you so much for highlighting those things, and thank you so much for our show, coming to our show, and definitely we will see you again in near future. Thank you.
Okay.
That's all. That's all for today, guys, and that's all for tonight's show. If you miss any part of the show, please do. You can view. You can catch this whole show back on our Facebook page, Inspire FM Facebook page. If you miss any part of the show, or if you want to, we do a repeat again on every next week. Thursday midnight or Wednesday midnight as well for repeat telecast. So please do remember us in your duas. And until next week, I'm your host Fahad Matin, saying Assalamu alaikum from both Baz and myself.